Welcome back. We are continuing our journey through some of the classics, and today we are arriving at, well, at what might be the most misunderstood chapter in this entire book.
It's a big one.
It is. We are tackling Chapter 7 of Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life and How to Play It. And the chapter is titled, very simply, Love.
It is a heavy word.
It's a very heavy word. And honestly, when most people see a title like that, especially in a book from, the 1920s, they probably expect something soft.
Right, something sentimental.
Exactly. You expect poetry or maybe some old-fashioned advice on courtship or just, I don't know, a general feeling of warmth and fuzziness.
A guide on how to find a husband or something like that.
Yes. But if you've been with us for the previous sessions on Shinn, you know that is not her style at all.
Not at all. Shinn is surprisingly unsentimental. I mean, she's sharp, she is very direct, and incredibly practical.
Right. And what stands out to me immediately in this chapter is that she treats love not as a mood, but as a mechanic. She treats it like a tool in a toolbox, or maybe a lever in a machine.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Because if you really look at the source material and you layer on some of the supplementary research we pulled, things from Stoicism and modern psychology, the picture that emerges is so different from a Hallmark card.
It's not a feeling.
No. Shinn is arguing that love is a law, a rigorous law of physics within this game of life.
A law of physics, you mean like gravity?
Exactly like gravity. Gravity doesn't really care if you believe in it, does it? It just operates.
Right. You drop a cup, it falls.
It falls. Doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. The cup falls. Shinn is saying love is a force just like that. It's a magnetic current. And more importantly, it's a strategy.
It's strategy.
Yes. The core argument here is that love is the most effective way to clear obstacles. It's not about rolling over. It's about winning the game. She has this great line, love take every trick.
Love takes every trick. That sounds like a card-playing strategy, like you're playing bridge or poker or something.
It is. I think she really does view life as a game of strategy, and love is the trump card. It's the one card that beats all the other cards.
So our mission today is to decode this. We're going to try to translate love from the poetic language of the early 20th century into a modern practical strategy.
For boundaries, for speech, for mindset.
Exactly. We're going to look at why resentment is actually a blockage in your own supply and how goodwill might just be the ultimate life hack.
And we're going to look at some of the science of why this seems to work, touching on things like rumination, the nervous system, how our perception really does shape our reality. Because this isn't just magic, There's biology here.
It's going to be a fascinating conversation. But before we jump in, just a quick note for everyone listening. If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
It really does help us keep these conversations coming.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The core concept. Shinn opens the chapter with a very bold statement. She says, every man on this planet is taking his initiation in love.
Yeah, and then she immediately quotes the Russian philosopher Ouspensky, saying, love is a cosmic phenomenon.
She does. And quoting someone like Ouspensky, that's a signal, isn't it?
It's a huge signal. She is elevating this immediately out of the realm of just, human emotion or romance. She's saying that love allows access to the fourth dimensional world.
The world of the wondrous.
What she calls the world of the wondrous, yeah.
Okay, that sounds a little woo-woo. Let's be honest. What does she actually mean by the fourth dimension in this context? Because, normally we're talking about length, width, and height.
Right, and that's a fair question. In the metaphysics of that era, and frankly in a lot of theoretical physics even today, dimensions are just levels of freedom.
Levels of freedom.
Think about it. A line has one dimension. You can only go forward and back. A square has two dimensions. You can go left and right too. A cube has three.
Right.
Shinn is suggesting that the game of life, with all its struggle and strife and competition, that mostly happens in the third dimension.
The physical material world.
Exactly. Where things bang into each other.
Yeah.
Where if I want to sit in that chair, you have to move. It's a world of conflict and limitation.
Right.
It's the world of me versus you.
Okay, I see.
The fourth dimension she's talking about is the realm of ideas, of spirit, of non-resistance. It's where you step above the maze.
Above the maze.
Yeah, if you're stuck in a maze, that's a two-dimensional problem, right? But if you're in a helicopter looking down at the maze, that's a three-dimensional perspective. The walls don't trap you anymore.
You're not stuck.
You're not stuck. Shinn is saying, love gives you that helicopter view.
So it's about moving from being inside the maze to having the view from above.
Right. And the ticket to get that higher view is love. But let's ground that, because otherwise it just stays abstract. What she's really describing is the mechanism of the boomerang.
We've talked about this before in the deep dive on karma.
We have. The game of life is a game of boomerangs. What you send out returns to you with mathematical precision.
Okay, so let's play that out. If I send out hate,
It comes back as friction, as loss, as obstacles. And you can see this practically, right? If you're angry and aggressive in traffic, you're just more likely to get into an accident or get into a road rage incident. You send out friction.
and the world sends friction back,
It reflects it right back to you. But if you send out love,
it comes back as math.
it comes back as solutions. It comes back as math. Shinn defines love as essentially the fulfilling of the law. It's the highest frequency you can operate on, and because it's the highest frequency, it has the power to override the lower laws of karma and disaster.
So if I'm operating from a place of anger, I'm sort of subject to the accidents of the world. But if I'm operating in love, I'm somehow insulated.
That is the claim. It's insulation through non-resistance. Think about it in terms of simple physics. If you punch a wall, your hand hurts. The harder you punch, the more it hurts. That's friction. That's the third dimension. Love, in Shinn's view, is like water. It doesn't punch the wall. It flows around it or under it or evaporates and goes over it. It doesn't engage in the friction, so it doesn't sustain the damage.
That makes a lot of sense conceptually, but we have to translate this into plain English because when we say love, especially now, it just carries so much baggage.
It does.
People think it means you have to be best friends with everyone, or worse, that you have to be a doormat. You know, if someone hurts me and I'm supposed to love them, am I just letting them get away with it?
And that is precisely the biggest trap. That is where everyone gets stuck. Because in this context, when Shinn talks about love, she is not talking about affection.
Right.
She's not talking about liking someone. She is talking about goodwill.
Goodwill. Okay, break that down for us.
Goodwill it's a posture of non-resentment. It's the active refusal to hold on to poison. It's what we might call clean courage.
Clean courage. I like that.
It's the ability to look at a difficult situation or difficult person and wish them well, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free of the friction.
Ah, that's a key distinction. It's for your freedom. It isn't actually for their benefit at all.
It's entirely selfish, in the best possible way. It's about keeping your own wires clean. Shinn uses the term blessing. She says we need to acknowledge the divinity in others.
Okay.
Now, you can look at that spiritually, seeing the soul in them. Or you can look at it psychologically, which is just seeing the potential for good in them. Or, at the very least, understanding that their bad behavior is probably coming from their own suffering.
I want to pause on this because I think this is where the rubber meets the road, this whole idea of the anti-love trap. We think, if I love this person who treated me poorly, aren't I just enabling them? Aren't I just being a people pleaser?
That is a massive misconception. Love is not people-pleasing. People-pleasing is actually a form of fear.
Fear.
Yep. You're trying to control how other people see you in order to stay safe. That's not love. That's a transaction.
Right. I'll be nice to you so you won't hurt me.
Exactly. Or, I will submit so that you will approve of me. That's weakness. Shinn would say that is actually a sin, in the old sense of the word, missing the mark. Real love, the kind Shinn is talking about, is fearless. It is not enabling bad behavior. You don't let a thief steal from you, but you also don't hate the thief.
Why not?
Because the hate binds you to the thief.
Ooh, the hate binds you to the thief. Can you unpack that a little?
Yeah. Imagine you have a rope tied around your waist. Every time you resent someone, you're handing them the other end of that rope.
Okay.
You're dragging them around with you all day. You're thinking about them in the shower. You think about them on your commute. You talk about them to your spouse. They are living in your head rent-free.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's completely exhausting. You wake up tired because you've been fighting a mental battle all night.
Resentment creates that cord. It ties you to the person you resent. Love or goodwill or forgiveness, that's what cuts the cord. It releases you. So love is not avoiding the truth. It's not pretending things are fine when they're not. And it's definitely not dropping your boundaries. In fact, you can love someone and completely close the door to them in your life.
So you can love them from over there, way over there.
Exactly. You wish them well, you hope they find their path, but you do not invite them to dinner. That is perfectly consistent with this law. You're sending them Godspeed, which literally means good speed or go with God, but the emphasis is on the go.
Go with God. Just go away from me.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
And that is the healthiest form of love there is.
So if that's what love is, this high-frequency goodwill, this cutting of the cord, then what's the opposite? I mean, I assume it's hate.
Well, obviously, hate is the direct opposite emotionally. But the functional opposite, the thing that really wrecks the game,
Yeah.
is fear and control.
Fear and control.
Shinn calls fear inverted faith.
Inverted fate.
Yeah. It's faith in evil. It's faith that things will go wrong. And control. Control is the attempt to force a result through friction. When you're trying to strangle a situation to make it go your way, you're violating the law of love. You're stopping the flow of abundance because you're operating from a place of not enough.
Or it won't happen unless I force it.
Exactly. And this reminds me of the anecdote from the source material about the actress. This is such a vivid story, and it really highlights the physical consequences of this anti-love state.
Right. Walk us through that one.
This is a classic Shinn case study,
Mm.
and it really bridges that gap between the mental and the physical. So there's this woman, an actress. She has a visible skin disease. It's red, it's inflamed, and it's threatening her career.
I can imagine.
She goes to doctors, but it's considered incurable. She's despairing.
Which is a fearful state. She's terrified she'll never work again.
High fear, high friction. But somehow she manages to get a good engagement. On opening night, she's a huge hit. The critics love her. She's totally elated.
Great.
But the next day, she gets fired.
Fired. After a hit. That makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense until you look at the human element. A male colleague in the cast was jealous of her success. He felt threatened. So he pulled some strings, probably with the producer or the director, and he got her sent away.
Oh, that would make anyone furious. That's deeply unfair. It's professional sabotage.
Of course. And she felt hatred and resentment taking complete possession of her. That's the key phrase Shinn uses, possession. The resentment owned her. She wasn't just angry, she was consumed.
I can understand that.
And she realized through her work with Shinn that this resentment was actually feeding the skin condition. The physical manifestation was a mirror of the internal irritation.
So her skin was inflamed because her mind was inflamed.
Exactly. The body often speaks what the mind can't resolve. Shinn points out that the skin is a boundary organ. It separates us from the world. When we feel our boundaries are violated or when we are irritated by others, the skin often reacts.
So what did she do? I mean, did she sue him? Did she call him out?
No. She worked on herself. She realized she was in a trap, and she cried out, "Oh God, don't let me hate that man." She realized that hating him was only hurting her. It wasn't hurting him at all. He was fine. He had his job. She was the one with the skin condition and no job.
That is the terrible irony of resentment, isn't it? It's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Precisely. So she spent hours in what Shinn calls the silence, which is her term for deep meditation or prayer, just working to forgive him.
That is hard work. That might be the hardest work a human being can do. It goes against every single instinct we have for justice.
It's the emotional gym. It takes massive strength. But she did it. She reached a point where she could honestly wish him well. She sent him goodwill. She realized that his jealousy was just his own fear, his own lack of confidence.
She stopped taking it personally.
She did. And here's where it gets really interesting.
What happened?
The very next morning, the skin condition had faded significantly. Within a very short time, it was gone completely. And shortly after that, she got a job that was far better than the one she lost.
So the cure wasn't medicine. The cure was forgiveness.
In this framework, yes. The resentment was the toxin. Once she stopped ingesting the toxin, the body healed, and then the career healed. She stopped that boomerang of hate she was sending out, so the friction in her life just stopped.
That leads us right into the mechanics of this. Friction versus flow. You mentioned that resentment is like a toxin. The outline uses this phrase that I love. Resentment is rehearsal. I want to dig into that.
That is such a powerful concept to meditate on. When we resent someone, what are we actually doing in our head?
We're replaying the event.
Right. We're thinking about what they did, what we should have said, how wrong they were. We are rehearsing the injury.
We are reliving it frame by frame.
We are. And this is where modern neuroscience just backs up Shinn completely. From a neurological perspective, and this connects to the research on rumination, we are reinforcing the neural pathways of that pain. The brain doesn't really distinguish well between a vivid memory and a current event.
So every time I replay that argument in the shower, my body's releasing the same stress hormones.
Yes. Cortisol, adrenaline. You are bathing your cells in a stress bath, and you're strengthening the synaptic connections that say, I am a victim or the world is hostile. You are literally practicing being hurt.
And the subconscious mind just picks up on that.
Yeah, the subconscious mind, which Shinn always reminds us, doesn't have a sense of humor. It just sees this imagery and thinks, oh, we seem to be very focused on conflict. We're rehearsing for a fight. I better go find some more fights to validate this.
It creates more of it.
It generates more of it. You become a magnet for it because that's the signal you're broadcasting. Your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, it starts actively looking for evidence of disrespect. And if you look for it, you will find it.
It's like that cow metaphor for rumination.
Exactly. The word rumination comes from the Latin word for chewing cud. Cows swallow grass, bring it back up, chew it again, swallow it again. It's gross.
Yeah.
When we resent, we're just chewing on old garbage.
Yeah.
And it keeps us sick. Shinn is basically saying, spit it out.
So Shinn's solution for that is to salute the divinity.
Yes. Even in what she calls a marble woman, she's referencing a story about a cold, hard boss who seemed to have no heart. She says you have to see the angel in the marble. You have to salute the divinity in them.
And that doesn't mean you agree with their behavior.
Not at all.
Oh.
It means you acknowledge that somewhere, deep down, there is a spark of something better, and you address that. You focus on that. It changes the energy dynamic completely.
It's disarming.
Totally. When you stop fighting someone energetically, they often just stop fighting you. They don't have anything to push against anymore. It's like Aikido. You step out of the way of their attack and they stumble.
Let's talk about jealousy.
Yeah.
Because the actor's story touched on it, the colleague was jealous, but there's another anecdote that is even more specific about romantic jealousy, and I feel like this is an area where people really, really struggle with the love law.
Yes, the story of the woman whose lover left her.
This one hits home for a lot of people, I think. It's the classic heartbreak scenario.
It is. So this woman is distraught. Her partner left her for someone else. She goes to Shinn and she's crying, saying, I love him so much. How could he leave me? I'm devastated.
Okay, that's understandable.
But then, in the next breath, she says, I hope he suffers. I hope he is miserable with her. I hope he realizes what he lost.
Yeah, that's a common reaction. You hurt me, so I want you to hurt. It feels like justice.
It feels like justice. But Shinn stops her cold. She delivers this major reality check. She says, you are not loving that man. You are hating him.
Wow. That's harsh. But it's true.
It's a slap of truth. Shinn explains that real love is selfless. It demands nothing.
Yeah.
If you are loving someone only on the condition that they love you back and do exactly what you want, that is not love. That is a transaction. That's business.
I gave you my affection, so you owe me your loyalty.
Exactly. And when the transaction fails, you get angry. You call the debt collector. Real love, Shinn argues, just pours itself out. It's happy just to give. It's like the sun. The sun doesn't say, I'll only shine on you if you look at me. It just shines.
So what's the paradox here? What happens when you actually do that?
The paradox, and this is where the law comes in, is that when you stop demanding and you just send pure goodwill, you become magnetic again.
Because you're not grasping
You're not
it.
strangling the situation. You're not desperate. Desperation is a repellent. Confidence and goodwill, those are attractants. Shinn told this woman to stop criticizing, stop condemning, and just bless him. Even bless him with the new woman.
That feels impossible. That feels like asking someone to cut off their own arm.
It feels impossible to the ego. The ego screams, no, I want revenge.
Ooh.
But it's the mechanic of success. Shinn says when you do that, when you truly release the demand, one of two things happens.
Okay.
Either he comes back because the pressure is off and he feels your love again instead of your neediness,
Or
you attract someone better. She calls it the divine selection. Because you have aligned yourself with love, you attract a loving relationship, you stop attracting that broken dynamic, you are no longer a match for the old painful relationship.
So you either get the person or you get the equivalent.
Or the superior equivalent. Shinn is very clear on that. The universe never gives you less than you had, unless you accept less. If you let go with love, you're preparing for an upgrade.
I like the sound of a superior equivalent. Okay, let's move into some practical examples. We've talked about the theory, the physics, the biology, but how does this look day to day? We've got three main areas: work, relationships, and habits. Let's start with work.
Work is a huge arena for this love law because it's usually built on the complete opposite.
Right.
The dynamic we usually see in the corporate world or the gig economy is competition and bitterness. We look at other people's success and we feel envy. Or we hate our own job.
I hate Mondays. I hate my commute.
Right. I hate my boss. I hate rich people. Shinn tells this great story of an artist who was very talented but was always broke. He couldn't sell his work. And it turned out He had this deep contempt for money and for people who had it.
He thought money was evil, or that rich people were bad.
Yeah, he thought he was above it, or that wealthy people were shallow and didn't appreciate true art. He had this starving artist superiority complex. But Shinn points out that his contempt was separating him from his own supply.
So?
You cannot attract what you despise. If you hate money, money will stay away from you. It's like you're pushing it away.
It's a closed door.
It is. If you think rich people are bad, your subconscious mind will protect you from becoming rich because it doesn't want you to become bad. It's a fascinating psychological block.
So what was the shift for him? What's the shift for anyone in that situation?
It's to start loving the work and, this is the surprising part, wishing well on competitors.
Wishing well on competitors. Okay, that's the hard part. That is the advanced class.
It is. This is the love takes every trick part. Imagine you're scrolling through social media. You see someone in your field who just got a massive promotion or launched a bestseller or got the award you wanted. What's the immediate reaction?
Usually a little pang of why not me? Maybe a little bit of they don't deserve that.
Right. That's the friction. And if you sit in that, you're affirming lack. You're telling the universe there's a limited amount of success. They took my slice and now there isn't enough for me.
Okay.
But if you can slip that switch, if you can see that success and say, good for them, that is wonderful, that proves it's possible, you're affirming abundance.
You're joining the team of success.
Exactly. You're resonating with the frequency of achievement. Generosity generates excellence. Bitterness generates stagnation. It's a law. If you want to be successful, you have to learn to celebrate success wherever you see it.
Okay, second example, relationships. We touch on the romantic side, but let's talk about the parent-child dynamic, or just family in general, this dynamic of control versus trust.
This is a big one for parents, and frankly, for anyone who loves someone who was maybe making risky choices. Shinn tells the story of a mother who was constantly worried about her children. They were boys playing in trees, climbing things, normal adventurous kid stuff. But she was terrified they would get hurt.
And she thought she was loving them by worrying. That's the classic parental instinct, right?
Correct. Most people equate worry with love. I worry because I care. If I stop worrying, it means I don't love you. But Shinn and the Stoics and modern anxiety researchers would say that worry is actually a form of attack.
Attack? That seems like a strong word.
Think about the energy of it. You are projecting a negative outcome onto them. Shinn calls it inverted faith. You're having faith that they will fall. You're visualizing them falling. You're tensing up every time they move. That is anti-love.
Yeah.
It actually puts them in danger because you're surrounding them with the energy of accident and fear. And kids feel that.
They do. It makes them nervous.
It makes them shaky. When a parent is hovering, gasping, checking constantly, the child internalizes that the world is unsafe and that they are incompetent. And that leads to accidents.
So what's the shift? How do you stop worrying without stopping caring?
The shift is trust. It's placing them under what she calls divine protection. Shinn says you cannot control others, not even your children ultimately. But you can cast the burden of them.
You release the grip.
You release the grip. You say, I trust that they are safe. I trust their journey. I trust their intelligence. It frees the parent and it frees the child.
It does.
When a parent is calm and trusting, the child feels confident. They climb the tree better because they aren't looking over their shoulder. Love releases the grip. It says, I love you enough to trust you with your own life.
That's a profound shift. Okay, third example, habits. This is about the relationship we have with ourselves.
And this is often the most neglected relationship. We are so polite to strangers, but we are just brutal to ourselves. The dynamic here is usually self-hate versus self-respect. We try to change our habits by beating ourselves up.
Oh, yeah. You're so lazy. Why did you eat that? You're a failure. Look at you, the inner critic.
The inner tyrant. And does it work? Usually not. It just creates a cycle of shame. You feel bad, so you eat to feel better. Then you feel worse, so you beat yourself up, so you eat more.
The shame spiral.
Exactly. Shinn argues that sins, which she just defines as mistakes or missing the mark, are often just misdirected energy. It's not that you're bad, it's that your energy is going the wrong way.
So beating yourself up is a violation of the law of love toward yourself.
It is. Self-condemnation creates friction inside your own psyche. It splits you in two, the punisher and the punished. And it makes it harder to change because you're exhausted from the beating.
So what's the love approach?
It's clean discipline.
Clean discipline. How is that different?
It means you correct the course without all the drama. You treat yourself with goodwill. Okay, I eat the cake. That wasn't the plan. It happened. I forgive myself. Tomorrow we get back on track.
Nope.
No drama, no self-hatred, no long speeches about what a loser you are. Just a loving correction. It's so much more efficient. Shame is inefficient. It wastes energy. Love is streamlined. It acknowledges the error and moves immediately to the solution.
This brings us to the practical application. We've covered a lot of ground here, but we want to give our listeners something they can do today. We're calling this the Love Reset, a 7-step process to shift from friction into flow.
This is a great exercise. You can do this in just a few minutes, but it can change your entire biology. It takes you out of that fight or flight mode and puts you into the rest and digest state where solutions can actually appear.
Okay, let's walk through it. What's step 1?
First, name the person or situation that triggers you. And be specific. Don't just say life. Is it your boss, Karen? Is it your bank account balance? Is it your ex-husband? Just name it. Put it on the table.
Okay, I've got my trigger. Step 2.
Next, identify the fear underneath. This is crucial. You aren't just angry. You are afraid. Anger is usually a bodyguard for fear. Are you afraid of being disrespected? Afraid of loss? Afraid of looking foolish? You have to find the root.
So if I'm angry at my boss, maybe the real fear is I'm afraid I'll lose my job, or I'm afraid I'm not competent.
Exactly. Get to the vulnerability.
Okay. Step 3.
Next, choose one loving interpretation that does not deny reality.
Give me an example of that. This sounds tricky. You don't want to be delusional.
Right. Let's stick with the marble woman boss.
Yeah.
The fear is, I'm going to get fired. The loving interpretation isn't, she's actually a saint and I love her. That's fake. It might be, she is incredibly overwhelmed and doesn't know how to manage her stress, so she takes it out on the team.
Ah, so you see her humanity. You reframe her from a villain to just a struggling human.
Correct. You don't excuse the behavior, but you understand the source. You see the overwhelmed person, not the monster.
Got it. Step 4.
Next, speak one blessing statement. Shinn is big on the spoken word. You have to say it or write it down.
Out loud?
Ideally, yeah, it breaks the loop in your head. But it must not be performative. No sarcasm, just clean goodwill.
Yeah.
I wish Karen peace. I wish her clarity. I salute the divinity in her. Simple.
It feels almost mechanical, but I guess that's the point, isn't it?
It is. You're flipping a switch. You don't have to feel warm and fuzzy. You just have to send the signal.
Okay, step 5.
Next, choose one boundary you will keep. This is where we integrate the love is not a doormat rule. You've blessed them, but now you decide where the line is. I wish Karen peace, but I will not answer her emails after 6 p.m.
Or I wish her well, but I'm looking for a new job.
Exactly. The blessing clears the resentment. The boundary clears the abuse. It's love plus boundaries. That is the winning combination.
Okay. Step 6.
Next, take one small loving action a day. This helps break the paralysis. It pushes you back into the flow. It could be smiling at a stranger. It could be sending a kind text to a friend. Or it could just be physically releasing the tension in your shoulders.
Just to get the energy moving, to start the boomerang.
Yes, you're priming the pump.
And finally, step 7.
Finally, remove one contradiction.
What does that mean, a contradiction?
It means you stop doing the thing that cancels out your prayer. If you just blessed your boss, don't go to lunch and gossip about her for an hour with your coworker.
Ooh, that's the kicker. That is where we all fail.
It is. Stop the revenge rehearsal in the shower. Stop keeping score. Stop the control tactics. You can't plant seeds of love and then pour bleach on them. You have to align your speech and your actions with the blessing you just made.
That is a powerful list. Name the trigger, identify the fear, reframe, bless, set a boundary, act, and stop contradicting.
It's a complete system. If you do that consistently, your life changes. It has to. The physics dictate it.
Before we wrap up, I want to troubleshoot a bit, because even with a great list, people stumble. We're human. What are the most common mistakes you see when people try to apply this law of love?
There are 5 big ones. I call them the love traps. The first mistake is thinking you must like the person to love them.
We touched on this, but it really bears repeating, doesn't it?
It really does. Love is a frequency of goodwill, not an emotion of affection. You can wish someone well from a distance while finding their personality totally annoying.
Yeah.
That is fine. You are aiming for non-resistance, not best friendship.
Right. You don't have to invite them to your birthday party. Okay. Mistake 2.
Making it a transaction.
Yeah.
I will be nice so that they change.
The covert contract.
Right. I did the love reset. Why are they still being mean to me? It didn't work.
Yeah.
If you're asking that, you haven't really done the reset. You're still trying to control them. You change to clear your own wires. Their change is a side effect, not the goal. If they never change, But you are no longer angry. You have won.
That is a hard one to accept, but it is true freedom. Mistake 3.
Enabling bad behavior. We talked about this. Shinn teaches non-resistance, not nonsense.
I love that.
You face the lion fearlessly. You don't let it eat you. You can have goodwill towards a lion while standing safely behind a pane of glass.
Non-resistance is not nonsense.
Got it. Yeah.
Mistake 4.
Forcing the feeling. People try to squeeze out an emotion of love and they just feel fake. They grit their teeth and say, I love everyone, while their blood pressure is skyrocketing.
I am loving, while grinding their molars.
Exactly. If you can't feel love, start with neutrality. Just start with, I cast the burden of this resentment. Start with relief. You don't have to jump straight to joy. Just stop the hate. Neutral is so much better than negative.
And the last mistake, the 5th one.
Ignoring the self. You cannot give what you do not have. If you hate yourself, your love for others will always be needy. It will be grasping. You have to apply this law to the person in the mirror first. You have to be the first recipient of your own goodwill.
That brings us full circle. It starts and ends with the self.
It really does. As within, so without.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's try to recap the key takeaways for everyone listening. I think we have 7 main points.
Let's run through them. First, love is a law of physics, not just a feeling. It's a mechanic of the universe.
Next, resentment blocks your own supply. Goodwill opens it. It's all about friction versus flow.
Next, fear and control are the opposites of love. They are the anti-love postures that create obstacles.
Next, true love demands nothing and therefore loses nothing. It's fearless and it's self-contained.
Next, boundaries are a necessary part of a loving practice. They protect the flow and they protect your own peace.
Next, speech is your wand. Use it to bless, not to curse. Watch your words because they are your boomerangs.
And finally, the game is won by the person who can maintain goodwill in the face of friction. That is the ultimate victory.
The game is won by the person who can maintain goodwill. That is something to aim for. I mean, that's a life's work right there.
It's the master class.
Huh.
But every single time you do it, life gets a little bit easier.
Next time, we're going to talk about the compass you need to navigate this game. Once you've established this loving mindset, how do you know when to act? How do you know which way to go?
That is episode 9. We are covering intuition.
I can't wait.
It's a good one.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.